So they'll be calling you a radical. This is a real important video because KSL, what are you doing, KSL? I mean, you're supposed to be a Utah news outlet. Why are you going so imperialist? Pro-nuclear. Pro-nuclear, 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 pro-nuclear. We got so many nuclear problems here. Always have. We paid the price downwinders here. So, John Curtis, Utah congressman. Now, this is important. At the same time, former Utah Congresswoman Mia Love is fighting for her life right now. You know, she has stage 4 brain cancer. You know, and I'm praying for her. I don't think she ever prayed for me when I was fighting leukemia, but she probably didn't know. But I'm praying for her. You know, I hope she can survive. So, John Curtis, he's on one of the committees, representative from Utah, says we might ignore more nuclear energy. So, Kevin Blanch, the world's foremost expert on nuclear energy. I am the world's foremost expert, bar none. 7th generation Utah. I don't eat, sleep, drink it, I sleep with it. I'm so Utah that my social media address used to come up as the Bone Marrow Transplant Center at LDS Hospital East 8. So, it's important. I'm challenging John Curtis to a debate. Now, pisses me off, KSL. KSL would never mention the word Fukushima. You know, here we are, Utah. We paid the prices downwinders. Everybody's got the horrible cancer stories here. And these little SMRs. At the same time, the only people on Earth that are funding this fairy tale SMR, NuScale, Utah. Not going to fund. That guy's like the best operator I ever saw. We're funding to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. NuScale stock's under $5. NuScale went public. Yeah, they took it public, $10. It's widely reported now that the CEO of NuScale has been selling all the stock. I used to call it the Reyes connection. Now, Sean Reyes made a point to tell me at the Bear River Massacre in Idaho that he's not related to Jose Reyes. Okay. I see he made a statement about Tim Ballard, who wasn't related to the... I mean, wow. So, I'm challenging KSL. KSL has not put one real there's only one real anti-nuclear energy activist on Earth, really. You know, Dunford does his share up there in Canada, but here in the United States, if you're talking Kevin Blanch, the world's foremost expert. I mean, bar none, try me. There are no SMRs. Remember, NuScale was sold us. I'm the guy that fought them. I was fighting them from the inception. I'm the guy that proved that NuScale's original funding was Kenwood Financial, which was a South American Ponzi scheme. The guy went to prison. Should have been dead then. They got the funding, and they promised us 24 nuclear reactors. They were going municipalities around here and saying, hey, including Kaysville, Brigham City. I know the guy in Kaysville that they gave, here's $200,000, just form a shell company, and you're the new expert. Promote this. It was a shame, and I knew it was a shame. I caught him lobbying underneath the stairs while the Utah State Legislature was in session. Videoed it. But that doesn't mean shit. You know what I am, Kevin Blanch? You know when you were a young student, undergrad, grad student in the 70s, in the 80s, 60s, even in the 80s, even in the 90s, and you were doing research. You were studying, getting ready for, even for a test, or you were writing a paper, or you were doing a PhD or a master's thesis, or just, you know, a research project. And you'd go into the research library and work your ass off. And just dig and dig and dig and dig and dig. And then boom. You're like, oh my God, there it is. Look at this in the research library. What I just found. I remember I was doing some research on the nesting blue herons up in Echo when I was young. And I dug through this incredible research library that we used to have at Weaver State. There was no online stuff. And I found this woman who was just a grassroots Ogdenite Utah native who loved blue herons. And she documented their nesting for years. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what I am. YouTube is nothing but a library. Nothing but a library. So, that's all it is. YouTube is a library. So, Where's the good shit in the library? Not right there on the top floor on the main shelf on the displays, is it? It's in the research. It's in the basement. You got to dig for it. That's what I am on YouTube. YouTube has buried me so deep. And I can't. KSL in that horrible airport. Oh my God, is that thing horrible. The beautiful, God, that Artisan airport we used to have was such a gem. Tore it down, that big dumb box we got. Inside there is KSL's The King's Bookstore. I thought this country was anti-imperialism. I thought we had a revolutionary war. I thought we were anti-monarchy. The greatest monarchy tool. How is Utah in bed with Bill Gates? Who's the most hated man in Utah? Remember those days? Novell, Word Perfect, US Robotics, Omega. Remember those days? Do you remember those days? Best way to pour concrete, right? Do you remember those days? Word Perfect was invented here in Utah. The operating station was invented here. Bruce Bastian. Yeah, and his band instructor, David O. McKay's grandson, Alan Ashton. Remember, Gates stole it tonight. Remember when you'd go on and get onto he's going to bring back the mouse, and remember it'd say, F you, go to hell, eat shit, blah, blah, blah. We had a trial against Bill Gates here in Utah in 2011. How come you weren't there, Blanch? I was at my home, the LDS East State bone marrow transplant, fighting for my life. It's just like the great big giant hot reactor coming in from San Onofre. You see KSL video on that? You see any channel? Like they're up here on some manufacturer, somebody carved something in a desk. I'm like, bullshit. I talked to Channel 4 before. I said, what are you talking about? That's not a story. That's not true. Show me a picture. She says, yeah, I agree. They sent us up here. I mean, this is what the news has turned into. They're not new. Come on, KSL. Not one time will you put a real anti-nuclear up. Kevin Blanch is right under your nose. Oh, he's too hot to handle. Really? Look at my interview with Jack Presser on PBS in Oregon. Try me. I'm openly challenging John Curtis, Utah State Representative. And I'll tell you what, Blake Moore, and I know Blake Moore personally, he wants to get on this pro-nuclear thing. He's going to have a problem with me. I'll make sure that he gets beat. I'll guarantee I get him beat. I mean, I have a big voice around here, but he hasn't gone pro-nuclear. He's, talking the, mainstream narrative about rhetoric about deregulation, fast-tracking, getting rid of. Well, come on. They have a license. NuScale got a license. How did NuScale get the license? Cynthia worked with Jose Reyes at Idaho National Lab. Trump appointed her as the head of the NRC. Passed by one vote. She worked with Jose Reyes at Idaho National Lab. Now we know about the accidents at Idaho. My close friend that I grew up right with here, Blake, owns Atomic City. I mean, the only person that ever challenged the NRC, ever, I challenged Alan McCarthy. It's on video and public, has many thousands of views. In San Marcos, on FUKUSHIMA. That's Paul Winchester, my close friend, born at Arco. I laid down his obituary and gave it to Allison McCarthy. Come on. Idaho National Labs where they're supposed to be. How many times have I been up there and talked to everybody? Nobody's like, we don't even think they're testing. It's just free money. That's what John Curtis is all about. He's bowing to the lobby. The nuclear energy lobby is so massive because of Price Anderson. The Department of Energy, which is the Department of Nuclear. It's massive. What a project this is. Weber State has a love affair with cement. 4,000 yards. That's what I told the girl from Channel 4. I'm like, why don't you, I mean, we have so many stories to report here. How about all the concrete here? How about the School of Business under investigation by the FBI? You tell people here, they don't even know that. She's like, really? And I says, yeah, Google it. She's, oh my God, I says, yeah, I took AP to break that story. The Weber State School of Business under investigation for selling state starts. And Blake Moore's going to get tough on China. And he grew up 2 blocks away from the School of Business when it's going on right under his nose. And Kevin Blanch has been screaming it. But look, YouTube buried me. That was their answer to me. Remember, I had the field. I had 3 radio shows. I mean, I had the whole field on focus, and I was right every single day. Tens of millions of views. This guy's like the best operator I ever saw. Oh my God, he makes this company, so, and they've had to make this up on the fly. This is an old wetland, an old marsh, you know, and so they're concreting it to supposedly help them on the algae cleanup. Yeah, okay. Just like the east side of the stadium, tear out concrete and metal bleachers to replace concrete and metal bleachers. Concrete has a huge footprint. So I'm challenging John Curtis, Utah representative. I'm 7th generation Utah. I come from the famous bloodlines in this state, and I've lived here my whole life, you know, and I mean, I am the world's foremost expert on nuclear energy. I'm the world's foremost expert on nuclearism in Utah, bar none. No one's even close. Again, I don't eat, sleep, drink it. I sleep training. So I'm openly, KSL, well, none of the media, who are these people, has ever put on one real nuclear. They marked some half nuclears out, KSL never did, but some half nuclear. They never mentioned Fukushima one time, and I said, oh, they will after the frog boiler. As soon as Utah gets a contract, sure as shit, Utah media reports at Fox News, the uranium mill in southern Utah, they go down there, and that was Fox interviewing. They mentioned the word, well, we want to bring in the waste from Japan. Utah company gets contract to store waste from Fukushima, Japan. When I thought Fukushima never happened. You know, I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? I'm a concrete finisher, what's a trowel? You know, I'm a duck, what's a pond? You know? Remember the moose story? Yeah, I was on KSL on that moose story. You know, but I'm challenging KSL to put a real anti-nuclear on. I'm very cordial, you know. I mean, I use an intense radical form on this YouTube thing because I had to, and it worked. You know, it's an art form that I developed. Oh, it worked. Shit. Go talk to people. They'll say, oh, Kevin Blanch educated me more on nuclear energy than anybody in history. You know, and we're winning this war. These SMRs don't exist. It's just free money. NuScale has shammed us here in Utah. They have shammed. They promised us 24 nuclear reactors by 2019. It's 2023. We have 0. And they got the license, the only license. Bill Gates doesn't even have a license. And Governor Cox gets in bed with him. Utah's funding that? They don't exist. They've already come out. NuScale says, well, that doesn't work. We want to reapply for another license. And we might get 6 by 2030. In the meantime, this is not going to happen. Utah, out of your bill, out of your amps. I was part of the group that got amps too. Amps was for wind and solar. Why are we not also sunlight 300 and something days a year here? That's why. People like John Curtis, who bow to lobbies. The nuclear energy lobby is massive. I remember when I was fighting NuScale in the Utah House, just teams of lawyers, Energy Solutions had there, you know, because they were going to close them. I mean, how about this one? Westinghouse went bankrupt, right? Remember Westinghouse went bankrupt a few years ago and took down Toshiba with them. Oh, they're back with Bechtel? We're back to the 70s. Jennifer Graham home in Vienna today says we're going to start testing nuclear weapons again. Let's do open air tests in Nevada again. I mean, my father, famous Utah. I mean, look up my auntie. They're going to name the English department at it. BYU, I mean, I can go on and on, the Blanch clan here. The famous nurses and the heart surgeon, the professor at, you know, BYU. I mean, I go on and on and on. D-Day, Harold, Uncle Clyde, look up his obituary. Oh, the most decorated fighter pilot in the history of the country post-World War II. Look at the chemist from BYU, the valedictorian. I mean, try me. So I'm openly challenging John Curtis to a debate. I want to do it on KSL. You know, they can screen everything I say. I promise I will not say won't say the F, or I'll say Fukushima. I won't use one so-called your panty-pated words that you don't. I'm cool with that. You can set any rules you want with me. And I want to say this because they're saying they're going to restart dumping. They're going to restart dumping the water on the 5th, the second batch. Now, I'll present the data. This is important historic stuff. I'll present the data. Okay, we're going to just use tritium, right? Tritium, just tritium. Well, it doesn't just come tritium. What about cesium-137? Only comes from a nuclear fission event. And by the way, we do not split the atom, we collide the atom. And you know, he even talked about it. We're spending $1 billion from Russia for enriched uranium. What's enriched uranium? People don't even know. So next time somebody's pro-nuclear with you, and I'll be asking Curtis, so do your homework, Curtis, and get ready, because I'm going to ask you straight up, you're pro-nuclear. Little nuclear reactors taking U-380. To explain how we get uranium-238 naturally mined, the tailings in, you know, down there on the Navajo Res, all over Utah. Explain to me how we take the natural uranium-238 and we turn it into uranium-235, which is called enriched uranium. That's what we use in a nuclear energy reactor. We don't use 238. We use to explain that process to me. Oh, that is nasty. We do it in Russia now. We used to in Kentucky. We used to do it in Illinois. You know, Bruce up there in Canada. It leaves a 97% byproduct. It's centrifugal spin it. They have to hex gas it and pump it. They have to leach it out. The atoms collide together and it creates all kinds of isotopes, including californium, including plutonium. I mean, it's so nasty. Giant footprint. Giant byproduct. What about the waste? I mean, we store it here, San Onofre. We had an accident at San Onofre. I was in the bone marrow trial. I'm the guy that reported that to the world. I'm paramount on the shutdown of San Onofre. January 30th. I didn't see that on KSL 2012. I reported it from the bone marrow. I'm going in and out of a coma. They just look it up. Just a steam malfunction. So the lobby is so big, and so NuScale, oh my God. I tell these attorneys, don't you have kids? I mean, the byproduct of this, remember the accident at Idaho National Lab where they had to peel people off the ceiling? That was an SMR. How about Santa Susana? Did you know about that one? Oh, that was nasty. In Los Angeles, that was an SMR. Blew up. Every time they test. How about 8-8? That was a long time ago. 2019 on the White Sea. Just killed the top, whichever report you listen to, 5 or 8. Top nuclear physicists in Russia. That was an SMR. We know that because of the tracer element. Tritium? How about strontium-90? How about cesium-137? So I want to ask all of you this. Okay, they didn't start dumping until 8/24, right? August 24, 2023. Then how did 18,000 becquerels of cesium-137 and all this tritium and strontium-90 show up in the fish in the Fukushima harbor in May of 2023? 1,800 times over the raised legal limits. Breaking news, fisher. Okay, that was in May this year. I'll present the data. How about January of 2022? 40 kilometers off the coast of Fukushima into the Japanese current. The Japanese Fishing Alliance tests the fish. 14 times over the raised Japanese legal limits of all the said radioisotopes. Cesium-137 is the one I like to use. You know, you can use strontium-90. You can use iodine, which, you know, I'll put them all together. What's happened in Fukushima, I call it plutonium. And you can't tell me it's a coincidence, all the tide pools collapse, Kevin Blanch's work. How about the salmon numbers? It's not coincidence. That doesn't get it in science. Kevin Blanch is the science, okay? How about we go to 2011? Ken Bueller's name's on that study. The International KLK study. And they tried to hide it. I leaked it out to the world in 2012, 2013. Now, the JSTOR hasn't hit. You still can't get it. You know, they buried it. That was Aaron Schwartz was up to. But the EU put it out because there are European scientists on the study. You know, there's a lot. University of Arizona, Ken Bueller on the study. All the Wilhelm's boat, June 2011. 40 kilometers off the coast of Fukushima in the Japanese current. Remember the bridge made it to Gold Beach, Oregon, an overpass you drive on. From the tsunami and earthquake at Fukushima, Japan, in 6 or 7 days into that current. So they're in that current in 2011. They hit the study. I leaked it out. It's out there now. I'll present it. They test for tritium, for strontium-90, for cesium-137, for iodine, all the said usual suspects. They say our first sample set 40 kilometers off, 300 meters down into the water column, into the current. Japanese current flows into the California current. First sample said 3 times over the background level. Now, what's the background level? The background level is the numbers that we know because we test them every day. We have that. That's what RadNet was. They took RadNet down offline. They crashed and took it offline on March 11th, 2011. NOAA tests it. NOAA presents the data. But NOAA tells me every time I'm walking the whole coast of California, dying of cancer, doing all the tide pole work, what a story. I'm talking to NOAA constantly. They got these detectors up. They won't let me video. You know, they got balloons all up all over. And I'm like, what about the levels? What are they? Not our job. Not your job. So we know the background levels. So the back Bikini Atolls, Utah paid the price, open air test in Nevada. My dad was a famous dude, nuked to death in a Nevada test site, died later of this brutal disease, AML, leukemia in the prime of his life. You know, and then I get it. I was given 2 months to live in 2011. Just the fact that I went into the bone marrow transplant on 11/11/11, what a compelling story. So, given no chance, I'm alive. And what a story. I've had open heart surgery twice, including this year, because the chemo took out my valve, took out my gallbladder, took out my teeth, but I had no chance to live. I mean, the type I had was unsurvivable. I had de novo, which presents tumors with a marker of 44. That's why I still have some hope for me left. Stage 4 brain cancer. You know, it's almost impossible, but I'm a 1%. It can be done. I'm praying that she can do it. We all need to pray for her. No, I don't care about your political theater, you know, when she was a congresswoman during the Fukushima years, but I guess she didn't even know. And if what went on in the parliament in Canada doesn't prove that Carlin's lying, selfish, ignorant people will elect selfish, ignorant leaders. These politicians, including John Curtis, are so ignorant it's pitiful. Like I said, explain the centrifuge process to me, John. You know, explain how we blocking everything from Russia in this proxy war, but we don't block enriched uranium. Because it's an imperialistic club. You know, the nuclear cult. Got to talk to Henry before I go to Fukushima. Hillary Clinton. Barack Obama sitting on the wildest land. The plume's coming over. It says, at the same time, Hillary's emails are going out to her people. Her sent them out. Don't go outside. If the plume's coming over, just don't take any chances. Wash your clothes. Take a shower. We didn't get those emails. So, in 2011, second sample set. First sample set 3 times over the said background isotopes, including strontium-90, including cesium-137, including tritium, including iodine, including the hydrogen byproduct. Seconds, that's enough to scare the shit out of me. That's when we know there's a major event. Second sample set 50 times. Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no. Worse than even Kevin Blanch thought, and I'm the only person on earth that ever called these full-blown out meltdowns that KSL refused to report on. Well, everybody thinks they're above it. Well, we'll see when you get cancer how your fight goes. Karma matters, ask a bee. So, oh my God, 50 times. Well, it gets worse. Third sample said 300 meters down into the water column, into the Japanese current, that flows into the California current. We're the downwinders. 40 kilometers off the coast, 1,000 times the background level of cesium-137, which is 30 half-life, only 30 years. It only comes from one event, nuclear exchange. You know, a meltdown, a fission, a bomb. It's 100% man-made. Strontium, all these set events, and so they list all the isotopes, by the way. Their conclusion. I'll post it. The derivative, they call the isotopes, the radioisotope derivatives of the Fukushima nuclear meltdown disaster, remember this is June of 2011, are already into the current, the Japanese current. There's no stopping. And it was covered up. Kevin Blanch leaked that out. So, you're going to start dumping. They didn't start dumping until August 24th, the Fukushima tank water flush. If you believe that flush fallacy, tritium levels, then how did that happen? How did 1,800 times, well, 180 times, 180,000 becquerels of cesium-137, of tritium, of all radiation 180 times over the safe raised legal limits, which they raised them over and over, and Trump just got rid of them. So what are you doing, KSL? Who are you? Who are you anymore? You're sure not a news station. It's very sad. When I was a kid, they were a powerhouse. I mean, they were the best. Where's Dick Norris when you need him, you know? I don't know. He's a cancer survivor. Well, he's passed now, but that's what we do here in Utah. We spent time in the LDSC state, man. We talk about all the famous people in there. I mean, that's where we end up, right? Kimball Peterson saved me, you know, at the Key State. That's by the way, we have a light the night this year at Weaver State for the first time on October 12th. First light the night, the 14th. Those incredible doctors and nurses at LDSC State to save my life, you know. We need to all pray for Mia Love. You know, I never agreed with one thing she ever did politically, but that doesn't matter to me. She's Utah. Even though she is a transplant here, she has kids. You know, she's young. Stage 4 freaking, she's a congresswoman here. Come on, John Curtis. Why are you bowing to these lobbies? So I'm asking for a debate with John Curtis. You know, Utah legislature. And I'll tell you what, Blake Moore, and this for you, you go down this pro-nuclear thing, you're going to have a major problem with me, and I will guarantee I get you beat. I will guarantee I get you defeated in my district here. I don't think he will go down there. I know him personally, and I'll be talking to him ASAP, which I've already talked to him multiple times about. You know, he's saying he wants to get rid of deregulation. That's one thing. Because this isn't about regulation, because NuScale has a license. Did they deliver on the product? They're unloading, so it's a pyramid scheme. It's criminal. Come on, Rez. Come on, Rez. You know, you told me right to my face I am not related to Sean Rez. Okay, I believe you at the Bear River Massacre. But you also told me you didn't even know what these SMRs were. I said, what about the testimony? It's online. Come on, Sean, you're better than that. You know, you said you're really disappointed in Ballard. Disappointed? Weren't you in his film? Disappointed? My God, what's-her-name's come out right now and said that he freaking sexually harassed her. And, you know, what he did in the name, using the name of it's disturbing what Utah is being exposed to. But this NuScale scam, everybody's asleep. Jose Reyes, the CEO, just dumped 2.2 million stock. The stock's under $5. We've been had, and we're the ones funding these guys. There are no SMRs. It's a fairy tale. It's bullshit. And you're saying you want more? No, you want more money. These propagandists, these puppet masters are pulling your strings. You don't know anything about nuclear, obviously. And if you do, then debate me. Even if you don't, debate me. You know? You're head of the committee. I see Dianne Feinstein died today. Wow. She mentioned Fukushima one time. Remember when I went to her office in San Diego? Remember that? None of them will mention it. You all thought so. Don't say the F word, Blanch. Let's flip our can. This guy's the best operator I ever saw, and I grew up in this industry. By the way, Abraham Hunsaker IV is my grandfather. Without Abe the First, there is no KSL. There is no, I mean, the great philanthropist. My grandpa used to call himself the great Mormon socialist. He required me to learn a trade at a very young age. He was an incredible dude. He and my grandmother, Ella Potter Hunsaker, Moses Tracy's granddaughter, Adelia Myrick Tracy, you know, Leonard Blanch, Christian Blanch. I mean, these famous Utahns, famous historic Utahns. Those are all my grandparents. You know, my dad, who gave his life. My Uncle Harold, Omaha Beach, D-Day Battle. Oh, so famous. What about Claude? Oh my God, what a gem. That dude. The valedictorian, the chemist at BYU, the incredible famous fighter pilot, probably the best athlete, one of the best athletes in the history of this state. Get your little SMR canister out. Let's go with the little SMR. Blanch. All we ever needed was the sun. We should have solar buses. So I'm challenging, and I want to ask all of you at KSL, you're above this? You don't have cancer? You don't get, and you're telling me that the byproduct meltdowns from Fukushima, 3 full core meltdowns, you're thinking that radioisotopes, including plutonium, which I named plutonium, including cesium-137, iodine, all these byproducts, strontium-90. You're telling me that doesn't cause cancer? That's a lie. That's an unarguable fact that it does. It's been proven. Russ Scott Matheson. God, the last great governor we had, right? His wife was in LDS with me. That's what we do here, right? So you're telling me the 3 full-core meltdowns of Fukushima, Japan, there's no byproduct. You're telling me the downwinders of Utah didn't get cancer. Mike Lee tells me to myself, 10 years ago, I'll get back to you this week. Did he? Did he? Oh, my dad's a downwinder. You're above a KSL? Come on, John Curtis. So debate me on KSL. Come on, KSL. You know, you sure threw me on the moose story. You threw me on the horse story. On anything feel good. Come on, let's have, I mean, the world's foremost expert. Try it. You know, look at my footage here in Utah. Look at the work I've done here. San Diego. DC. Vienna. I mean, I have the Blanch box. I have the Blanch box. I made this. I'd be there right now, but I'm rehabilitated from open heart surgery in a second. Come on, man. So I'm challenging him to a debate. Come on. Curtis is just like him, says Como. John Curtis. Stop with the nuclear bell, bank bell out on chemo. Stop it. You're telling me, don't drop your small racket. Might as well turn this into a freaking spent fuel pool. Store our waste there? We store it here in Utah anyway. Come on, KSL. You're telling me, full-blown out of the jet stream, the flume comes over, the heat bubble of the Western United States, 2011. The salmon collapse, the data that I've proven, the tide pool work, you're telling me that's all coincidence? Coincidence doesn't get into science. Okay, I am the science. I am the fucking science. Oh, you said the F word. Come on. John Curtis, okay. Okay, anywhere, and I promise I'll be good. I promise you look at my interview on the 2nd anniversary on PBS Oregon. It's an hour-long interview. Goody. I mean, I taught communications here, student professor. I know what I'm doing. Debate me, John Curtis. And by the way, we all in Utah, all us Utahns, even though I didn't ever agree with anything her, you know, I was really pissed off at her why she was commenting, you know, on Fox News and beating the war drums and, you know, why Fukushima's going, but we need to all pray for being loved. All of us. I'm a 1% cancer survivor. If she survives, she'll be one. They've light the night here for the first time at Weaver Stadium at 12. So, come on, John Curtis. Debate me. And New Skill has shammed us so hard. Reyes wrote off the Sunset, made a bunch of money. They'll never be one. And they promised us. They violated the contract. That's fraud. That's fraud. That's fraud. You know? And Sean Reyes told me, and I believe you, Sean. You're not related to him. You told me that, okay? But I know you know what an SMR is now. You know? Come on. We're all in this together. Left, right, black, white, you know, gay, straight, you know. We're all in this together. It doesn't discriminate about your political dogma. Give me dogma or give me that. No, it don't give a shit. And by the way, both administrations covered this up. Trump covered it. I asked Trump from right here to there on Fox News Live. It was live on Fox News. That debate in 2016. Are you going to talk about Fukushima, Trump? Yes. Did he? Did he? No. He met with a bee 17 times. What happened to a bee? What's the plan? When we had the Enola Gay ceremony, KSL, at Utah, the Enola Gay flew out of Utah, and Sudoku's very own great niece reaches out the olive branch to Kevin Blanch and Jim out there. All that work we didn't win over. And says, we want to come and present you with a real paper crane. Are you in? Yeah. Jim's like, what do you think? Like, oh, yes. So they came. We sent out emails to you, KSL. Jim sent you an email. All the news stations, all the professors, all the dignitaries, international media was from all over the world. 644. You know about Sudoku? I got a second one that got a hold of it in my hand. When her niece comes up, Kevin Blanch, they call it the atom bomb disease in Japan. Her great niece, she died 11 years old of cancer, of leukemia. Her mother used to call Dad about it. When her great niece walks right up to me and tells me, "Thank you, Kevin Blanch, for all your work." I was not sequestered in Japan. I was famous in Japan. I still am. And if you don't believe me, you go ask Rachel Godoy. You go ask Kathy Iwani in San Diego, both of them who were living in Japan at the time, who fled with their children. You go ask them. Don't you think that's a major story? 7th generation youth comes from these infamous, well-decorated, incredible military background, patriot lines. My father, nuked to death. I mean, he was a gem. Harold, these are the men that raised me. The Hunsaker clan, Abe the Force, my grandfather. Ike Potter's my great, come on, infamous blood. When she presents that to me, and she gave me and no Utah media, you don't show up? Jim was like, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. And I'm like, I videoed it, at least we videoed it. International media from all over the world in Wendover, Utah. You're supposed to be media? That's not media. That's not media. That's not media. I don't know what you are. I'm heartbroken. My grandparents, all of the said people that I talked to, they're all rolling in the graves. All these old school, beautiful Utahns are rolling in the graves, including Scott Hopkins. So, I'm praying for you, Mia. My little step-granddaughter just got out of primaries. Her name's Mia. She just got out of there. She's been fighting cancer. My brother's little grandson came out of there fighting neuroblastoma. Come on. We're all Utahns. We're all in this together. And by the way, I don't think Nuclear Fog gives a shit about your state line. I remember when it was the Nauvoo Bell. I remember when he took the picture of the sheep on. What is it? So come on, John Curtis. You're Utah, I'm Utah. Debate. Kevin Blanch is the world's foremost expert on nuclear energy. Born and raised. Born right there on 24th and Harris in the old Lee Homes. I'll present the data on these said numbers. So how did that get into the ocean if they didn't start dumping and they caught all the water? And you're telling me, oh, everything's good. We caught all the water and they started dumping on August 24th. And how did 180 times the legal safe limits get into the fish in the harbor in May of this year? They didn't jump till August, in January of last year, in 2011. Again, I will quote their conclusion on the KLK International Study. 1,000 times the background levels. Our conclusion, the derivatives from the Fukushima meltdowns are already into the water column and there's no stopping it. Breaking news, fish swim. Kevin Blanch, the greatest scientist probably since Einstein, or maybe Semmelweis in history. Long video, important video. God, is that guy an operator or what? Stand tuned.